What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of 90 Day Fiance Love in Paradise, the Mile High Club. Let's get started with Annie and Kyle. So, Annie and Kyle meet for coffee. All of this is just so comical to me. So Annie and Kyle, they're in Malta, right? I don't know if this is like his second or third day in Malta, and they meet up for coffee. And when he shows up, he's dressed up in like some red shorts and a tan shirt or something, or is it vice versa? Yeah, red shirt and some tan shorts. Why does he dress like a 3-year-old? Okay, he puts no effort in his attire at all, but then he has all of these restrictions and rules and the point system for Annie, but he can just show up looking like, his mommy dressed him for daycare. So when they sit down, they're having coffee. Immediately he asks her, did she put any sugar in her coffee? And she says no, because if she would have put sugar, he would have deducted some points. Okay, so after that, they go sightseeing. While they're riding in the back of a Jeep to their destination, he keeps on touching and readjusting his privates. And she's like, what the hell are you doing? And he says to her that he has to keep his, kibbles and bits at a certain room temperature, at a certain temperature, because if it gets too overheated, it affects his specimen, because we all know that he donates his sperm as a hobby, y'all, as a hobby, not as a job, but as a hobby, he donates his sperm. And so he's always very uber focused on, making sure that his body is right and that his specimen doesn't get affected in any kind of negative way. So he was trying to keep things cool and breezy so that, a high temperature doesn't affect whatever. Okay. His count, his mobility, who knows? So now that they're in a serious relationship, okay, they're having a conversation about the future of their relationship. And Annie tells him, because, he's already expressed that he loves her and, she wants to be in this relationship with him. She tells him that she expects him to stop donating, especially donating what do they call it? Through natural insemination. Like, stop having sex with these women in order to get them pregnant. If you can't do nothing else, please stop at least that. So recently he had gone to Australia for a client, to impregnate a client in Australia. So she asked him, when he went to Australia, did he have sex with her? Did he do natural insemination with her? He starts playing these stupid games, saying that he doesn't remember, so on and so forth. And so basically he did. He did do natural insemination with this Australian client of his. So he says to her that, she doesn't have to get all upset about it because it's professional. It's what he does, for business, I guess, even though he's not getting paid for it. It's very clinical. It's like a medical procedure. So it's not about love and emotion or anything like that, or attraction. It's just something he does for lack of a better term, for like medical reasons, because for whatever reason, this woman doesn't want to go through a clinic. She'd rather go through an individual. And so he went there just to help her out. So Annie should not feel any kind of jealousy or insecurity. She shouldn't have any issue with this because it's all for clinical purposes. So obviously she doesn't buy any of that. And I'm thinking, so she just wants him to stop. Just stop doing this. And I'm thinking to myself, your boy Kyle has probably cracked the damn code as far as being able to be in a relationship with a woman, Annie, and still being able to sleep around with a whole bunch of other women because there's no emotional connection. It's under the guise of a medical procedure and helping out a woman achieve her dream of having a baby. He doesn't have to be responsible for these children that he's creating. So he probably cracked the code of living, a man's best life where you can have a girlfriend, you can have a wife, still be with other women if your girlfriend or wife approve of it, still be with other women, have all of this unprotected sex, which I'm still not sure how they're dealing with, diseases and STDs, how they're screening for that. have sex with all these other women, not give a damn if they get pregnant or not. And if they do get pregnant, the child is not your responsibility. He is literally living his best life. So Annie, my dear, why would he stop? What incentive does he have to stop living like this and to stop doing this? And if Annie's not going to accept it, he can just move on to a woman who may accept it, who may fall for the BS, who may fall for the okie doke that he's trying to sell. Because if he really did truly love Annie, he would have stopped this a long time ago. He would have, because he's not even getting paid. He's not even getting a financial benefit out of this. So I'm thinking that the reason why he does this is because it must feed his ego to be able to impregnate all these women and to have all of these children that are carrying his DNA. It must feed some type of ego in him, or it must feed his ego in some way. He's getting some type of psychological satisfaction in doing what he does, because it's not financial, right? So it must be something that makes him feel a certain kind of way, that he's procreating like this. He's populating the world like this. He has all these children out there that are carrying his genetics, or maybe he's just a freak, or I don't know what is really going on with him. Or maybe he just enjoys being able to sleep around with so many women. Maybe he gets some type of satisfaction knowing that his specimen is wanted, his genetics is wanted, it is sought after by these women who are trying to get pregnant by him. And maybe he feels some type of satisfaction when he's able to impregnate a woman. Like, his sperm is doing really well. He's got this super sperm that's been able to produce all of these children, this mass of children out there across the world. It feeds his ego in some way. You know what I'm saying? And if he were to make a business out of it, man, he could probably retire. With all the children that he's created, he could probably retire if he wanted to make like a real monetary business out of this. So, I don't know. I don't know what to tell Annie except, girl, run for the hills, run as far away as you possibly can, because he says that donating his sperm is the most important thing to him, because his whole life is centered around making sure that his sperm is very viable, very potent, all this stuff. So his whole life is centered around that. What he eats, what he drinks, what he breathes in, what he does, everything is centered around keeping his sperm in tip-top shape. So this is the most important thing to him. And Annie, if you can't hang with that, girl, I think you need to leave. I think you need to run as far away from this man as possible, because it's not going to happen. He has no incentive to stop doing this. None. Zero. Especially since he's doing natural insemination. He has no incentive to stop. Moving on to Alex and Adriano. So Alex has arrived in Italy. She tells us Adriano makes her feel cared for, makes her feel wanted. He's just the best thing that's ever happened to her, right? So she says that she wants a future with this man. She wants marriage. She wants children with him. And those things are more important than, this whole thing about having threesomes. And he should understand that. If he wants to keep her in his life, he should know that having her in his life is way more important than continuing on with having threesomes. So he wants the same thing as well, because he told us he wants to have children with her. He wants to have a future with her. So I'm like trying to figure out, if both of you are wanting the same thing, then why the hell are y'all letting this whole threesome issue get in between y'all? Because they're not really in love with one another. Adriana and Alex are not in love with each other. They are in some deep, heavy lust with each other, but they're not in love with each other. Because if Adriana really, truly loved Alex, he would give up this whole notion of having threesomes. She would be more than enough for him. The way he talks about his initial experience with having a threesome, he talks about it like you can just see the look on his face whenever he reminisces about his very first time having a threesome. It's almost like it was a spiritual awakening for him. Okay, it was almost like it did something to his soul. It revitalized his soul. It gave him a reason to live. That's how he refers to his first time having a threesome. And he's always trying to catch that high. So I don't think there will ever be a moment that he will not pursue this whole threesome thing unless he meets a woman that will truly knock him off his feet and that he would truly fall in love with, and then he would give it up. But I don't think he's in love with Alex, and that's the reason why he keeps on pushing it, because he's not satisfied in his relationship with Alex. She's not satisfying him completely. And I don't think Alex is in love with Adriano the way that she thinks that she is, because if she was truly in love with this man, the reason why I feel like she's not in love with him was in that moment when they were kissing after they had dinner, and they were kissing in his room or something, and she talks about how she absolutely melts whenever, you know, they get physical, or whenever he starts kissing her, when they get romantic with one another, she absolutely melts and she forgets all of the issues that they have. So being physical with him, being intimate with him, being sexual with him makes her forget all of their problems, which tells me that this relationship is based on lust and attraction and hot, filthy sex. Okay. So they go to dinner, and we find out that Adriano's plan is to eventually move to Australia. He says that Italy is really strict. Australia is a little bit more open-minded when it comes to his career of wanting to be, his need or his desire to want to be a trainer. And I'm like, oh God, here we go again. There's always these people on 90 Day Fiance that have these fly-by, and I'm going to call it a fly-by. Now, I know there are serious professional trainers out there who take their work seriously, and this is their career and their bread and butter, and they have to be educated and licensed and certified to be a trainer. But I feel like on 90 Day Fiance, there's a lot of these guys, these good-looking men who are trainers because, I mean, I don't know. It's like, for example, here I go with the names, y'all. I'll always forget the damn names. The one that we just saw, 90 Day Fiance, The Other Way. I forgot his name, but he was the one that lived in Turkey, and he was like very controlling with, what was her name? Her name was Shekinah. Sarper. Was it Sarper? Sarper and Shekinah. Sarper was a trainer. And then we also had 90 Day Fiance. I think it was before the 90 days. It was the guy who lived in India. He was a trainer. I think he was a lawyer also, but he was also like a trainer, right? Wasn't he a trainer? I'm just sick and tired of all these, men just wanting to be trainers. But anyways, moving on. So he wants to move to Australia so that he can be a trainer, follow his dream of being a trainer. And it's easier to do it there than it is in Italy. She says that she wants to stay in Italy. She thinks Italy is beautiful. She thinks Italy is really romantic. So she would rather stay in Italy. And plus, she said it's easier for her to travel back and forth between Italy and the United States than it would be between Australia and the United States. So she says the only thing that would make her move to Australia, I'm just going to cut to the chase, is if he drops this whole threesome thing. That's how she's going to end up moving to Australia with him, because she needs to feel more secure. He has broken up with her 2 times because she refuses to have a threesome with him. And I guess he found women who were willing to do that with him. And after he was satisfied with that, after, he was with these other women and he got that out of his system, after they did their whole threesome thing, he goes right back to Alex. So she says that for her to upend her whole entire life and move to Australia with him, he's going to have to drop this whole threesome thing. She tells him that she will never do it. It's never going to happen. He might as well just give up asking her. He tells her, but you did it before. Now that's the mistake that she made. That was a huge mistake that she made. Obviously, she probably didn't know that how far he was going to run with it. But when she initially told him that back in college, she had dabbled a little bit, with threesomes and sleeping with women, the floodgates were open after that, because he just doesn't understand. He cannot comprehend. If he did it before, why won't you do it again? Like, I'm not understanding. If you did it before, why won't you do it again? Because it's not like a woman who's never tried it, who's never done it. And if she was the type of woman who had never done it, maybe he wouldn't be so persistent with it, because it's just not her thing. But because she has done it before, he still does not, it's hard for him to grasp why she won't do it again. She says, look, that's in my past. I'm not down with that. I'm not interested in that. And, he tells us that he had made a promise to himself that in any relationship that he's in, the door has to be open for a threesome to happen. And she's also vowed that she would never do a threesome. So in this situation, y'all, I think that your girl Alex just has to forget about Adriano, because I don't think Adriano's going to let it go. Like I said, the way he talks about threesomes, it's like some type of a spiritual experience. It's like some type of a spiritual, I don't know what. like a religious experience. So I don't think he's ever going to give that up. I think he's always going to want that until he meets the woman that really, really, truly steals his heart. Moving on to Aliyah and Shawn. So Aliyah and Shawn are still struggling. This is Shawn's second day in Brazil. Shawn tells us that he has to try to fall in love with Aliyah. Since Douglas now is living as Aliyah full time. So now he has to try to find some type of connection with Aliyah. Douglas has left the chat, left the building. Douglas is no more. And Aliyah even tells us, that is my old life. I am not going back to that. I am Aliyah now. So Shawn has to try to connect with Aliyah. So he takes Aliyah shopping and he's like, I'm back to square one, because he was married to a woman before. He's like, now I'm back in a relationship with a woman where I'm just basically like holding her purse when we go to the store, when we go shopping, while she's trying on a million different outfits, and I'm bored out of my mind. And he did not sign up for this, right? He says that Douglas tells us that Aliyah is way different than Douglas. Aliyah is more outgoing, more of an extrovert, more fun, more exciting than Douglas ever was. Now, Shawn likes the quiet, reserved, introverted Douglas. That's what he likes. That's what he fell in love with. He does not like twerking, booty shaking, dancing in the middle of the store Aliyah. That's just not his cup of tea at all. So he is not used to this. He is missing Douglas. He wants Douglas. He wants to be in a relationship with a man. Ever since he got a divorce from his wife, he has been dating men exclusively. Masculine presenting type of men. And this is what he wants. And Aliyah is not that. So these people also, I feel like they need to also go their separate ways. I don't understand, if you're attracted to masculinity and maleness, I don't understand how you're going to be okay with a trans woman. Like, I don't get it. I don't know how that's going to happen. But Aliyah tells Shawn, I'm still the same person that she fell in love with. Just because the exterior has changed, the interior is still the same. I am still the same person. But Shawn doesn't buy it. Moving on to Luke and Madeline. So they're driving back from the airport, and as you're driving in the car, I see that your girl Madeline has a tattoo on her arm of what I think is the sign of the Illuminati, the symbol of the Illuminati. I think that's what it is. Now, in America, it's probably different in Colombia, but in America, the Illuminati is seen as like the secret society that's controlling the whole entire world. And it's seen as a negative thing. So I'm not sure how it's, maybe that wasn't even the tattoo of the Illuminati. Maybe, I don't even know what I'm talking about, but let's move on. She also has a tattoo of a dollar sign somewhere on her hand, I think, or her hand, or her arm, or somewhere she has a tattoo of a dollar sign, which makes me think that, she's all about that money, but she's kind of making me change my mind about that. So Madeline had opened up her own beauty salon 3 months ago with $10,000 that Luke had given her. So she's actually running a business. This is not how she presented herself initially, because initially she kind of came across as a sugar baby. Like, she did nothing with herself all day except getting pampered and having fun and going out with her friends and living off this man's money. But now we come to find out that she's actually running an entire salon. It's like a nail, hair, beauty salon. And so she takes him to the beauty salon for him to check it out. And he's asking her about the logistics. He's asking her about the bottom line. So how is business going? Where are we at as far as making a profit? Which they're not. It's not making a profit. And she tells him, in order to make a profit, I would have to have between 60 to 90 customers a month. Right now, she's only getting 20. So he's like, okay, we got to do something to amp it up, because I cannot put money into this business because I have no money. I'm jobless. I'm unemployed. I have about, 2 or 3 months left of his savings to survive on. After that, he's going to be in the negative. So they're going to have to figure out what needs to be done to get this salon popping. So she really wasn't happy about that. But she does say that, they're in this together. They're going to figure it out. They're going to work it out. So she's acting really positive about them, somehow or another getting out of this rut, this financial rut. So she's not talking about leaving him. She doesn't act like, she's disappointed in him as far as like, I can't be with you if you don't have any money. She's not giving off those kind of vibes right now. All she's talking about is, well, we're just going to have to try harder. We're going to have to try to come up with, some type of a plan to keep us going. So she still intends to stay with him, I think, right? So she's really more upset that he didn't tell her that he had lost his job more than the fact that he lost his job. That's what's really bothering her, that he kept this information from her for about a month. So I'm beginning to wonder, like, if the downfall of their relationship, I think it's going to be her coming into her own. She's only 19, right? But she's running this salon. I used to think that the downfall of the relationship would be him being broke, but it might be the fact that by her running this business, it might build her confidence. It might mature her. She might come into her own as a woman and realize that, she can do this, that she can run a business. She can run a business successfully, hopefully. And when she becomes more independent, when she becomes a little bit stronger as a woman, he might lose interest in her, because up until now, I feel like she is just his little plaything. He's, the way that I see Luke, he looks upon her like, I was this guy who had a whole bunch of money, and I got this really hot young girl, and I can do whatever the hell I want to do with her. As long as the money is coming, I can do whatever I want to do with her. I think he sees her as just like a plaything, a sex toy. He doesn't really take her seriously as a woman, as a person. She's just there for his pleasure. And when she shakes that off, when she lets him know, I'm more than that and I deserve more from you, I think that's what's going to be the downfall of their relationship. And I kind of see that. I think that's a possibility for Madeline. As much as she is dependent on his money, I do kind of see something in her, I think, I could be wrong, where she wants to be her own person and she wants to make her own money. And when she gets to that level where she is truly an adult woman who can make things happen on her own, he's going to get really turned off when she's no longer just his little Colombian plaything. I don't think I have anything else to say about them. Let me check my notes. I don't think I do. They go back to his apartment, they have sex, and that's it. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video if you like this content. Subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.